Well, folks, welcome back to the Regulators for another week. Even though we do look a bit different this week, we're missing one. Well, Justin's away on vacation, and we're missing one Steve. We're not quite sure where he is. So,
MIA.
our good friend and standing guest, Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media, is here to join us this week. Hey, Jim, thank you for dropping in, man. Looks like we needed you.
Well, thanks for the invite. Always here to help out, bro.
And of course, well, I don't know, he hasn't got his paper bag yet, but we have Terry Van Horn with a new camera angle. We still can't tell if anyone's wearing pants. SEO Pros, SEO Dojo elsewhere. How's it going, Terry?
Good, Dave.
All right, man. So yeah, this is a new format here this week. So um, where to start today? I thought I would start with your favorite there, Terry. In-depth articles on Google.
Yeah, well, we've been saying it just gets deeper and deeper. Pretty soon, you might as well just go to the Encyclopedia Britannica, because Google's just, a little more organized.
Well,
But if
apparently
you're looking to buy stuff, it's not very good.
well, again, do you think you'll see these in-depth articles in transactional spaces? I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, why
That's
would they
the
do that?
plan.
Why would Google put that kind of content in a commercial search?
Yeah, see, you know what I mean?
Why would they put the Wikipedia #1 for payday loans?
Yeah, but we could argue the strength of Wikipedia and its
I don't care about
insane link.
about users, Jim.
Well, no, indeed, it's about
Wikipedia
users, but it's also
has
about the way
not
Google
always
fund.
been #1 there.
It's all. when we coded them ourselves, they functioned well, but our clients couldn't work on them, so they became dependent on us as service providers. And I think the three of us can agree that's not the kind of path we want to lead our clients down.
Well,
we want to make our clients...
You'd have to have a massive staff to be able to update that. But you know what the difference is now between back then and now? Now there's editors that you can just embed and say, okay, then you build your program around them using that editor, making a file, making a file, and it gets included. That's how all my programs, I write them, is so that the client can just write a text file if they want and include it.
Okay.
Right.
I mean, it's just got to take you just got to think about it a bit. There's always,
There's I don't want to interrupt because I think David has a great segue right here to jump us to the next subject.
Okay.
I'll take it if you want, David, because it's a great segue. I can see it.
Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah.
And so, Terry, in that coding where your client just has to do a text file, upload it, and boom, they've changed their site. If you screw up, they can sue you. There, how's that for a segue, huh?
That's it. That's it. Did you catch this one this morning?
In the United States, I think they'd have a pretty hard time doing that in Canada.
Yeah, I dropped this one in the room earlier today, Terry, and yeah, some guy's suing his company for 40, 50 grand or something.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
they're also trying to use the RICO Act on them. It's insane.
Sorry,
Just
folks.
stupid beyond belief.
So yeah, here's the article for the folks watching.
Illegal activity. There's nothing illegal about link building unless you're hacking sites to do it.
Well, now, I don't know. What if you gave a written guarantee of some sort? Would that constitute any sort of position?
Well,
I don't know.
Give a written guarantee, you get whatever you deserve.
I got a couple of questions. What if it could be proved that your work was in fact detrimental to the client, or you didn't complete the entire set of commitments you made within the contract?
That's different. These guys finished. They even warned the people that what they were doing was against Google's rules. Okay, so that's like telling someone, well, this could end very badly, and then when it does, someone suing you. I don't think they got a leg to stand on.
Now doesn't this come down to the contractual end, though? Like, I have right in my fucking contracts and stuff that, we are not responsible for this, that, and the next thing. Google's owns their algorithms, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I've got all that kind of stuff in my contracts. You are paying me for an hourly consulting fucking fee, and what you do with the information I give you is up to you, kind of thing. And I make statements right in my contracts that we're not held liable for changes to the algorithm, shit like that, because I'm not. What the fuck? How Google decides to, when Panda first jumped out, or Penguin, or any of that stuff. Did anyone? You might have seen it coming, but or someone I built directory links for, 5 years ago gets penalized next week. Is that somehow my fault? You're going to assume me? No. So what I mean? Doesn't it,
right now it might be.
But doesn't it come down to what's in your fucking contract? Maybe.
I think that's something that we weren't shown in the search engine land article. There is no link to the contract. We have no idea what their full agreement was. I read that article a few days ago, and I gotta say, that was a remarkably difficult to read article. Like, did you guys find that, or was it just me when I read it?
I get halfway through that kind of stuff, Jim, and kind of get all. Wow.
I love legal stuff.
What does it come to? You know what I mean? Like,
comes to needing another editor. That's what it comes to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, search engine land, don't get me started.
All love to search engine land. All love to that organization. But oh my goodness, this was a difficult article, and it should have been edited better.
Danny, as a journalist and whatnot.
Yeah, Danny's a good guy.
I don't agree with, how their relationship. Well, whatever. That's my shit to deal with.
Quick disclosure. 10 years ago, near the beginning of my career as an SEO, I was sued by a company in California, successfully. They won.
On what basis? What was the...
The basis was they kept playing scope creep on us. They went beyond the scope of our contract. Yes. They filed suit in a California court against a company based in Canada, in British Columbia, Canada, and we could have fought it, but
You
settling
just
was
don't
cheaper.
show up and don't pay, and how they gonna collect?
Well, I have to cross
You're
the
a
border. It's
Canadian
part of.
citizen. You're not subject to fucking laws in the United States. You're
I
not
am.
there.
I am when I travel there, though, and
Yeah, well, okay.
going to
I'm in a different
conferences.
situation. I couldn't go there if I wanted to. In fact, they'd put me in jail if I tried.
And that wasn't exactly what I was trying to avoid when we settled
Oh,
for
okay.
a mid-range five-figure amount, which nearly crippled the company 10 years ago. This wasn't Digital Always. This was like long before Digital Always. But yeah, you can be sued in an American court if you're an SEO. Have your agreements tight.
I was
Like,
sued
know a lawyer.
SEO Pros and myself were sued by a company in the U.S. I just laughed at them. I did basically settle because I just took the stuff down and, that's it. Couldn't be bothered, but I didn't have to do anything.
Well,
My
again,
lawyer told me that. He just
I want to
said, good luck.
I'd like to suggest that for smaller SEO firms, this is a real fear. Like, they mightn't have a leg to stand on. Maybe they don't. Maybe they don't have a real legal argument against you. But it costs a lot of money to be right in a court of law.
Yeah, but
in
the States you can recover that.
Yeah, but I mean, you get costs. Costs tend to be 30%.
In the United States, I believe, right?
Indeed, but again, costs tend to be, and you know what? We have Steve looks like he's around. He's in America, so he might be able to answer this question for us. I understand that when you're assigned costs, you're lucky to see 30%.
Oh, okay. Well,
so it costs you 50 grand to fight it. You're lucky to get 15 of that 50 back. You're a small firm. You're screwed. You're hooped. You're over the barrel, and the litigant knows it.
I don't know. I don't,
it's
don't
gonna
do that much of that anymore. I'm doing more local stuff now, so.
And there you know.
Probably safe.
Yeah, it comes down to your contract, man. You can't have a contract you have to have a contract that states that, you are not responsible for rankings, and it sounds stupid to say, but you almost got to. You know what I mean? And I'm not responsible for Google changing their algorithm, et cetera, et cetera.
If you're a company and you're guaranteeing results, you're very liable then for ending up in court. I would never. And one of the things we've done at SEO Pros is anyone with a guarantee wouldn't allow them in, simply because that was what the board decided, because it's a bad thing. Just not good. Yay! Steve's here!
Good God, look at the beard on you. Steve, I haven't seen you for months. What happened? You went like all wild man. Has he always looked like that?
Yeah.
For a while.
Lately.
Every once in a while, a young man has to see how close
I'd like
he
to
is
welcome to the
age.
show Steve Garens. Oh, he's got to get his head.
Yeah, he has no idea. We can say anything we want, really.
Steve Garens, sir, Steam Driven Media. Support your local. Terry, how's it going, Steve? Welcome to the show. No, he's trying to find a headset that works. So we're just going to watch him. There we are. No, he's still not with us.
I wonder if he realizes.
Does he even know we're talking? Yeah, we're talking to him.
His microphone's not in front of him either.
Yeah, it is.
He can read our lips. He knows we're talking about him.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
All SEOs can do that.
Yeah. Anyhow, what's next, Dave?
All right, moving up and upwards and onwards. He does. We'll wait till he gets warmed up, though. I don't know. The next one, I kind of came across it, and my thinking is totally different on what the article's about. But hold on, let's get this here. Marketing land, social saturation. I'll give it to you boys in the chat room. Do. Anyway, so Oh, I'll screen share for the folks watching real quick here. So it was basically the story is about social saturation and what have you. 72% online Americans, blah 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 blah. And so Terry, we've got the old, our social signals, the ranking signal, and everything else. And what I actually got thinking about was this whole uproar. Again, this is totally not related, but what is, but is this whole uproar that we had a while back with the whole blogging thing, and Google doesn't like guest blogging. You should no follow the links, and all the SEOs freaked out and what have you. Terry, I'm still going under the premise that I don't get these people. No one complains about Facebook links and Twitter links and whatever links being. No one complains about those being no followed. So why are they complaining about blog links being no followed? Because at the end of the fucking day, as far as I'm concerned, link building in 2013, the goal of your guest post is to get on a fucking blog where people will notice your content, say this is a really smart piece of work. Oh, check out your bio link, which is no followed. Follow it back to your company's blog, and then start following you, and then they become linkers. Sure, that original link isn't what it used to be, meaning that was the goal of guest blogging, was to get that shitty link on some unknown mommy blog site. But now don't we have to think ahead, meaning the actual goal of guest blogging is to attract an audience that will someday link to you in different forms?
Yeah.
The reason they're complaining and freaking out is because for years they've done it with links that were followed. Now all of a sudden those same links that were fine 2 years ago aren't. That's why they're freaking out, because the rules changed. The links from Facebook never counted, so who cares? The links from Twitter never really counted, so again, who cares? And just because it's a no-name mommy blogger, those of us in the jewelry business, we like those no-name mommy bloggers because they drive traffic and sales. So you have to be careful what kind of how you group websites based on some strange
No, but if it's driving traffic and
is.
sales, then if it's driving traffic and sales, why do I care if it's a followed link?
We don't. But the problem is all the ones that we did 5 years ago count.
Right. You're now at risk for.
And do you know how many? Do you know how many takedown requests I've gotten now in the last 3 months? It's crazy.
Yeah, but Steve, how many of those are like just not even warranted? I get takedowns requests on my payday loan site, and all it is I put news from Google, a few posts that I wrote, and I reviewed a whole bunch of companies. One of the companies I reviewed actually asked me to take the link down. I just put FU in the email and sent it back.
I've had the same
third time he sent me
where
email.
we've announced new jewelry lines that we
respond, but that's just people who don't know what they're doing.
Agreed, but when we wrote blog posts and press releases saying we now carry this jewelry line, and 3 years later that jewelry manufacturers come back with their new SEO going, oh, you got to take that link down. Instead of emailing the SEO back, we just call the jewelry line and tell them to fire their SEO.
Yeah. It saves time, doesn't it?
It's a lot more effective.
Well, especially in that industry where you're kind of known a bit, I think.
The problem with doing cross-media stuff is, I don't know if I bitched about this on Hangout with the Dojo, on a Regulators show, or on Webmaster Radio, but I gotta say, the new SEO clique who reads something and then reacts to it without thinking about it it half drives me crazy and half drives me business.
Yeah.
It's maddening. There's 15 to 17 years of history that goes into everything Google puts on its page. There might only be, say, 11 or 12 years of Google history, but there's a hell of a lot of stuff that happened before Google. And that influenced the way Google was built, and that influences the way Google works, and that influences the stuff you guys read and react to like lemmings. Stop. Think.
I
Stop
wonder how
annoying.
Google would react if we started doing web rings again.
It depends what they look
realistically, that's where we got most of our traffic to begin with, right? You got a bunch of websites that were in the same niche that all link to each other. Saying, hey, if you liked my stuff, go to this guy's site. He's got cool stuff too.
You know what? Is there
That's
anything
how code
inherently?
citation is supposed to work. It's not someone sending an email and saying, let's do a 3-circle thingy. Yeah, come on.
Is there anything inherently wrong with the idea with the way a web ring forms? The web ring itself, as an organized, exchange of links, that might be a problem. But the way a web ring forms, like you were saying, Steve, company A links to company B, which happens to link to company C, all of whom sell the same sort of stuff, saying,
Right.
if you like my stuff, what about these guys?
Yeah, and there's even a button that says go to the next website in the ring. Yeah,
Well, they were.
Then it was like go to the next one, find somebody random, or skip 5.
Like those, Steve, those filled a purpose back then. Just better things came along to do the same thing, because that was basically about discovering content, right?
In some niches, I don't think it is better, because I mean, how hard is it to find 30 websites that are good on Google on the same topic? Where if they were all in a web ring and all 30 of those sites agreed that, yeah, we're going to go ahead and let this guy into the ring, those 30 sites are going to be good.
Yeah, puts a barrier to entry beyond just going out and manufacturing links. Yep, agreed.
I've never thought of a web ring as a niche directory before.
It is, or was.
You can send payments to Steve at... See, we're not thinking out of the box. We're just remembering history.
Well, and that's an important thing, dude. I mean, people don't think about why Google made this decision.
Sure they did, though. They wanted to increase the click-through rate on the ads.
Well, that and Penguin.
That and they hate SEOs, remember. Don't ever forget, that's the reason they do everything, is to fuck with SEOs.
Hey, I'm not thinking that way. I'm saying it's to increase the click-through rate because of the 7-quarter declines.
And I'm saying it's to clean up a mess that was their own making. What the hell's Penguin all about? Because they made links a commodity.
You can't tell me, Jim, okay, you can't tell me that there is not 3 good transactional websites that belong in the payday loan query. Come on.
You know what? I'll tell you in a sec. From the north end of Toronto. Let's see. Payday loans, huh?
American firms, I can name you like 4 or 5 right away.
You know what? I don't even see any organic results. Oh my God.
That's what that means.
On the first page of results, I got to scroll down, and
yep.
Son of a gun.
Jim, I'd be working.
I don't believe this. It's true. Now, he's right. On the search,
you know what the clicks are in the right-hand column? About $7 a piece. And those companies at that rate are still, making about 10 times their money. Huge margins.
You can imagine what I think of the business model of the payday loan industry. Payday loan industry.
Been doing it.
$7 a client. $7 per person for client acquisition seems reasonable to me in that industry.
Right.
7
for lead acquisition?
I would not take less than $10.
No, but this is what they're paying Google per click. You said, right?
Yeah.
Approximately $7. Again, for lead gen, that seems reasonable given the insane margins that these guys make.
I tell you, the spam and the fraud through the roof.
Well, it is the payday loan.
You're looking like someone who's told the bigger scam is actually Google. Because there you got people in click rings clicking the Google ads that are getting away with it. And, sue me, Google, because, I really don't care.
But seriously, Terry, what do you expect in a sector like payday loans? Isn't that like Viagra for like the financial sector?
Yep.
Yeah.
That same thing. Exactly.
What do you do?
The margins are incredible. Incredible. It's
all right.
As close to you can get to being,
Moving along, Terry. We're going to grab one of yours here, Martin McDonald.
Yes, the
Buying
social.
Facebook and Twitter likes and
Oh,
followers and
Yeah.
stuff.
me.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, Jim's all upset. We've hit
I
a
hate
nerve.
this shit. I hate this shit. Like,
I agree with everything he said.
okay, I haven't even read the article yet, but
Oh, okay.
and I just find it really annoying when people inflate stats.
I don't think he inflated stats.
Oh, my,
No,
that's just
no,
an
he's
opinion.
actually going anti, I believe.
He's just saying it's not a good strategy, and I agree.
He's right.
Buying fans to, get them to see your posts is not a good strategy on Facebook or Twitter.
To a point.
Right. If you're buying fans, they better be people who are going to engage with your content.
right, or else
Only
if
10% of them have to.
All you're doing is increasing Facebook's inventory for paid posts.
all right, Steve, what do you got? What do you mean as far as 10%?
What I'm saying is, if you can get your follower number over a certain threshold, you can stop buying, because for some reason there are a few magic numbers in a few different niches that once you cross that number, people just start liking your page because everybody else did.
That would be
It's
true.
the strangest thing in the world. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't seen it myself, but I've seen it, and it happens. So that there is a reason for buying likes to a certain amount. Plus, you also have to take into account that Facebook doesn't show all your stuff to everybody now anyway.
That's
Who
what I
cares?
mean. So getting followers that you then have to pay for them to see your post doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're just paying and paying for customers.
Well,
If
like I
they
said,
engage, then it's not too bad, because you're not pay. You won't have to pay as much.
And what they're talking about there, Jim, and for I guess anyone watching, listening, is the concept on Facebook where, magically around the time of promoted posts, just shortly before that, I guess, Steve, was when they made the change that not everyone who follows you actually
Yeah.
sees your content.
amazing.
Yeah, what a coincidence that was. So yeah, that's the kind of the concept that we have a bit of a bitch about, is that yeah, you get, again, it's like Google's Terry's bitch with the AdWords. You're getting locked into promoted posts because not everyone actually sees your content, even though they liked your page.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
That's what I mean. Like, these are people, Steve. You would think the concept of liking means I want to see your stuff, right? It makes no sense to me that Facebook then arbitrarily, with some kind of formula, edge or something, so ridiculous. When I saw it, I just said, oh, this does not make a lot of sense to this guy.
Well, I mean, they've come out and said in the past that, part of the reason for Facebook's decline is all the brands are taking over and they're pushing their stuff on people. Well, the only reason the brands have taken over and pushed their stuff on people is because we've been forced to.
Right.
It used to be, if you followed me, you saw my stuff, everybody was happy. Now I have to do a promoted post, but if I'm going to do a promoted post, I'm going to do to all the people who like me, plus all their friends. If I'm going to have to pay for it, I'm going to go ahead and hit everybody. And that, I think, is where they're starting to have problems, is they're getting a lot of pushback from, everyday users who just simply don't want to see all the advertising. And now they're talking about doing video ads, and charging more than they charge for Super Bowl ads. So,
really,
Well,
Yeah.
I've come to the conclusion Facebook is now a social ad platform.
but isn't that the direction everything goes?
Well, that's true.
Once it becomes
Everything has
popular,
to
it
be
turns into an ad
monetized.
platform.
But I think they kind of take it to an all new level. Like, when you pay to get people there and then you pay for them to see what they ask to see, yeah, I think they push the limits. I don't care about the ads down the side, Steve. I can ignore those all day. No problem.
But
Yeah,
I wonder
it's
how this affects the major companies like Starbucks, who in their regular TV advertising say facebook.com/Starbucks. They don't
Right.
say starbucks.com.
And why do people like that page? Probably so they could go there and get discount coupons and stuff.
all right. Well, let's move it on to the Twitter
He's
stuff.
no longer supporting me, I see. Oh.
I think buying shitty, useless Twitter followers is even less of a good idea because They're not actual people, or they're not engaging, or they're, it's just a number. It's not an actual marketable group. So,
Yeah,
beyond the Facebook shit, I think the Twitter idea, the concept of buying Twitter followers, just, I don't know, make your client happy or look good. I think it's useless. I'd rather have 200 fucking engaged followers than 20,000 bots.
I could tell you it's real easy to build a following on Twitter using, I use a tool called Manage Flitter, and it does follow and unfollow. I've been building stuff
Which is now
pretty
against the
good,
terms of service,
not
by the way.
really fast, but what'd you say, Steve? Checks in the mail?
Twitter changed their terms of service just a few weeks ago, making automated tools illegal.
Illegal or just against terms of service?
Well, against the terms of service.
Yeah, okay.
But
Gotta watch our words.
In these days in the United States, that equals illegal.
Does that, Steve, does that include automated posts?
I don't know that it includes automated posts, but their big thing was the automated follow and unfollow.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But you can still use the API, I'm pretty sure.
Well, it depends what you do with it.
Because
According to what
I'm
Steve's saying.
still doing the follow and unfollow on this tool. I don't know how long that'll last.
Like everything else, it becomes a threshold thing. If you're doing 10 or 20, who cares? If you're doing 10 or 20,000, then they care.
But I think what the auto follow really affected were the bots that were auto following people, right? So it means now you have to kind of okay any additions to your following.
Well, that used to be an easy way to build your Twitter followers. You mass followed everybody, let all their auto follow bots kick in, and then you turn around and unfollow everybody and keep all those people that just followed you. I think that's what they were trying to combat with the new change in the terms of service. Or I could be wrong.
I don't know if they outlawed all the tools, Steve. I have to look into that, though, because I'm actually working with a tool that uses their API.
Twitter's a strange beast. It works for some groups and horribly for others. So
yeah, all of them. The game can change whenever they like. You're not in control on nothing.
Okay, well, sticking on the social theme, did you see this? Catch any of this, Mr. Pinterest, Steve?
I did.
Okay, so what's going on here? We've got a new service from Pinterest. And it's showing prices and stuff now, yeah?
Well, if you had pinned something with the price attached to it, supposedly they're keeping an eye on the prices now, and if the price drops, then you get an alert saying, hey, something you pinned went down in price.
That's kind of cool, dude.
It is kind of cool.
I like that. That's kind of neat. I know, I'll have to mention it to the missus, but she'll probably like that one.
Yeah. So how would you explain this to a client? How would you make that work for one of your clients, Dave?
Me or Steve? Steve's the Pinterest guy.
No, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was talking to the guys over at one of the jewelry stores about this just yesterday, trying to figure out how we can do this without being spammy. Because obviously, if I could, I'd just dump my whole product listing onto Pinterest and go, hey, look, here it is. But realistically, you can't do that. So you have to do, representative items. And what we're going to do, I think, is make sure we know exactly which items we're using on Pinterest in that way, so that if we have a price drop on anything else, we drop the price on that item as well, just to get the alert to trigger.
Now, Pinterest is allowing transactions straight from the Pinterest post or page, correct? Is it turning itself? The question I'm going to ask is it turning itself into a de facto shopping cart?
That's the way a lot of people were using it, as far as, they were using it as a bookmarking tool. So it's kind of the next step, isn't it?
Feels
I
that
can tell
way.
you, when I was in apparel, I loved the social shopping sites for women. Incredible. If you're in e-com and doing apparel, find the social, because they share stuff, and really good. I forget the ones we used to use now, but really big. The Sears catalog. I remember when that come out.
Indeed.
All right, so you're bullish on this one, Steve? You like this?
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
I think I do.
I think it's kind of interesting, definitely, because yeah, I got some e-commerce stuff now too, so I might
Well, the
look a
nice
little
thing about
deeper.
the main reason I like it is because if you're somebody who pins a lot of
Now, can you build a following this way? Meaning, pin this product on Pinterest to keep an eye for future price changes, etc. You know what I mean? Is that something you'd actually pitch on a page now, Steve?
A wish list would be a really good
yeah,
use of
you could
that.
probably you probably could do a wish list that way. The big thing I've noticed though on Pinterest is you've got two completely different groups of people. You've got the people that are more like the way I pin things, or we're pinning art and just cool stuff. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got people who pin products. I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this.
Yeah, and I know, even in my house, the ladies will do that. So,
Steve, just out of curiosity, are these features, are they like part of the monetization of Pinterest?
I don't know how they're making money off of it yet.
So it could be an experiment, to get people into it, and then they say, okay, you got to pay.
If you want to be a business and have your product listed, and I could see that happening, and for certain businesses, I would pay to be there.
For sure.
If it gave me a boost over other people, you bet.
Or just becomes like a shopping channel over there. It could easily become that.
Yeah.
Well, and you know what? That might be advantageous if it did for Pinterest. I mean, they got to find a way to monetize what they're doing. They've been around for, 2.5, 3 years now? It's time to start putting money in the bank for them, to start making it pay back.
It's going to run out soon, Jim. At some point, the VC money runs out.
But Pinterest is in a unique position. I mean, Pinterest has taken off in popularity like few of the very popular social networking, or few of the social networking sites ever have.
Right, but do they have investors? They must have, because they
Clearly.
couldn't afford it without them, I'm sure.
I think isn't Pinterest one of the old from the old PayPal alumni? Isn't that where it came from? The people who got rich at PayPal.
I don't recall it, but it does ring a bell. So I'm not sure.
So I think they have funds. Yep.
Oh, by the way, there was talk of a Twitter IPO on CNBC this morning.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, just to hit our last story back.
We're thinking of using the Dutch auction too, Jim.
It's a good idea. It's actually a good idea. Look what happened to Facebook, right?
There, Dave.
Oh, no worries, no worries. Just to hit up our last story quickly, Wissam over in the SEO Dojo chat room was saying he got suspended for auto-posting on Twitter. When I asked him what he was doing, all he was doing was pushing RSS from Search Engine Land and Search Engine Watch to his biz account. And that's it, and he got suspended. He contested it, and he got the ban lifted, but yeah, he indeed has already been... he got banned from Twitter for auto-posting RSS, man. And yeah, no kidding, because I've got him set up on a few accounts, dude.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I'm gonna have to go take a look.
That means okay.
Well, the Dojo, Terry, the Dojo publishes stuff like SNC and elsewhere. It's auto RSS straight into our Twitter feed. So
I avoid the whole problem by simply not using Twitter.
Was he hammering? I mean, Wissam must have been seriously hammering Twitter to get a ban.
Well, how many times a day does SEL and SEW publish? I guess there's
probably 15 to 20 articles a day between the two of them, probably.
Well, indeed, but what's the lifespan of a tweet? Like 5 seconds, unless it gets retweeted or passed around like a do. But
or somebody complains about it and blogs about it and bitches about it.
The lifespan of a tweet is like 5 seconds until a whole bunch of other ones push it up on the screen. So what I imagine Wissam was doing was, putting the same link in, or relatively the same tweet in, every few minutes. And that'll get you trouble.
No, I don't think he'd do something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I would probably bet that.
Deal where he'd want it all automated. I think it's probably just a one-time deal.
The way he explains it in the chat room sounds you know, sounds innocuous. Although it was all going, well, yeah, it sounds innocuous. So it was obviously designed to lead people back to his Twitter profile, which has a link back to his SEO website, his
There
business
was a
website.
program, Jim, that I read about on the weekend where it got hammered by Twitter because it was doing stuff with RSS feeds.
All right.
Twitter oppression. Twitter oppression.
All right. So let's see where to. Terry, the psychopath's guide to SEO. Let's have some fun here. Let's do something. All right. You want to give us a lowdown on this one, Terry? I did not get around to reading it.
It's pretty funny, actually. He kind of took the fact that there's not much you can really do now that's not black hat, and kind of made some scenarios. This is what the white hat will do, and this is what the black hat will do, and it'll be things like take someone prisoner and make them link to them, or they're gonna, do harm. They're funny shit. Good for kill some time and
that may be
some
satire.
revenue to all the bullshit.
That may be satire, Terry, but you did hit on a important point. What isn't it, at least in the gray hat range now? I mean, I saw a notice go out from Google the other day saying keywords in your anchor text is now a no-no. What? I mean, I think I know what they were getting at. Keyword spamming your anchor text is definitely a no-no.
If you do guest posting and it's not no follow, that's now against their rules. In fact, Jim, my new thing is I'm going to sell a service that's guest posting, but all I'll post is competitors' links.
Indeed. Make sure you write it at a grade. Make sure you write at a grade 3 level for that too.
That is, once again, people who should come out of their parents' basement occasionally and have a look around.
I mean, you could save yourself some time, although you wouldn't make as much money by just starting up a whole bunch of .li sites, paperly.li. Then have all those linked back to competitors. Save yourself some time. That's all RSS driven, isn't it?
Didn't work.
Sorry, Steve?
I said people thought negative SEO didn't work. They've made it easier than ever.
Oh, yeah. Every new one of these things opens up SEO that much further. It's like they just took the can opener and, they get a little thing to get her breathing a bit, and then they just got out the electric jobby and finished.
It's anarchy on the webs.
Does this make it harder to define what is and is not quote unquote white hat / black hat services?
Again, I'll go first, and I've never subscribed to this concept. I've never written white or black. I don't go there. Well, okay. Simple enough. Black hat SEO to me is when you're hacking for links and doing shits of that nature that's actually fucking illegal. Everything else is just levels of risk, and as long as the client's been informed of those levels of risk, don't get me going on ethics or any of this bullshit. You know what I mean? Don't get me into this black hat, white. Who's defining black and white? Google? Because it sure as fuck isn't us. I've never seen a white paper from an SEO about what the fuck the difference is.
In a way, Dave, we're like lawyers. We have to at least entertain every client and advise them. And if we don't do that, pass them to someone who does do it adequately. That's I kind of see it as like a lawyer, like that. Like everyone deserves service.
That's the way we've run our business from the very beginning. We've tried not to be bottled into the whole SEO mindset. And we're simply marketers. And our goal is to drive traffic and customers to our clients. And just because one source of traffic, in this case Google, doesn't care for one of our tactics, doesn't mean we can't do it. We just need to determine whether or not the amount of traffic we'll get for doing it is worth the risk of losing that traffic source.
Right.
And in most cases, it is.
Becomes a risk-reward scenario, and that's the way it should be.
Well, even Steve, think in terms of what black hat hacking, and that's really, I guess, where the term comes from, anyways. Is black hat was really a hacking thing
Right.
originally, not an SEO thing. So, and again, I go back to what is it legal or not? If it is legal under the law, then it's just Google's terms of service and levels of risk. And because other
However,
than that,
these days
who defines black hat? Google does apparently. So.
there are enough Google followers now where basically if you put a link on a forum, you're a black cat. So
Yeah, the mom. Let them think like that, Steve. It'll make our job that much easier going forward.
You know,
if
I
that forum has a crawl issue with Google, and Google all of a sudden decides that 30 links are actually 7,000, that's another issue entirely.
See, why people? I kind of joined. I was asked to join a blogging group, and when I come in there, like, wow, could not believe what the stuff I was reading. Like, kind of shows that, I think copywriters, a lot of them, their whole business model is at risk. Because if it'll be like what happened when article marketing no longer did everything. All those people that were doing the, let's say, low cost copywriting, they moved to guest posting. Well,
No,
pretty
no, don't say it's not. Oh, wow, really?
Okay, well, you know what? Low-cost services in general are going to get schlumped as time goes on. That's what happens.
They don't have a lot of benefit now.
And they will lose value over time. So the low-cost crap service will devalue itself over time. Think of supply and demand. The more crap comes into the system, the less crap is needed.
Right.
Therefore, it's devalued. It's not worth as much.
Here's the thing, Dave.
Jim.
Yeah, Jesus. Jim, I think it's kind of Google, too, raising the bar on the SEO community. The guys who were just, doing all that kind of, and I know Steve did a lot of it, but that's because that's
we all have, you know what I mean? I can't say I've never done
I have no problem
submission,
with
so.
that. I'm just saying there's a lot of people who did that sort of stuff where it was not necessary. But you know what I mean? So in some ways, I just think that, it's going to clean that part of the industry kind of up. And from there, it becomes, very technical SEO and people who can actually write a content strategy and know a good website from a bad website.
I'm getting more email spam from people selling crappy link building services than ever.
Dude, I kid you not. Yeah, I'm still getting them, and they're horribly pathetic, and it's as egregious as ever. You know what I mean? I can't go a day. I've got between my old blog and S&C and this and that. I'm getting them all the time, Steve. You know what I mean?
If I were one of those services, I'd be sending them out en masse now too, before my business target group caught on.
Right. Well, that's it.
They know the writing's on the wall, right?
In email marketing, it's a bit like telephones. When things get saturated or whatever, What do? You just put more people online, making the calls and put them on commission.
Yeah, it becomes a numbers game.
Yes. So you're just using the numbers game. That's what they're doing. That's why you're getting more of that spam.
Yeah, but luckily the new Google email interface makes it even easier to ignore.
Which is even more fun for people with legitimate mailing lists.
Yes, indeed. That is a problem. Where everything goes into promotions in the new Gmail. That segmentation is hard on people with doing email campaigns.
Yep. We're already trying to figure out a way out of it.
Yeah. No suggestions.
All right. Before we get rolling here today, I think one last thing I want to at least get to was SEO book article. That was lamenting the usual stuff, I guess, about not provided, how it's double digit, and it is getting up there. I don't know, Steve. I guess before I even go on this, you do a lot more e-commerce than me. What's the not provided growing to over there?
We're around 45%.
All right, so you're
That's about
double
right.
digits these days. So yeah,
But
yeah,
for the
and
most
I've been
part,
seeing
we don't
that.
care.
No, and
He's
and
got
I don't care. Here's my question, Steve. I guess have we, and even Jim. I know this was kind of the genesis of our last hangout you and I did.
Mhm.
Um, I just think people got to get beyond keywords. If it's rankings or whatever, I think in terms of keyword baskets. And I can tell you, most pages that are, I've got various filters and stuff set up in Google Analytics that'll show me, what pages that it went to. And I think within reason, I can guess at what terms are being used, cross-reference that with a little bit of Google Webmaster Tools data and other stuff. And, you have a bit of a sense of it. But does, I don't know, Steve, I'm guessing you're like me over our years of knowing each other. I always looked at keyword baskets anyways, and it wasn't about exact matches as much as
For
it was
those
baskets,
for those of us who work heavily in the e-commerce niche, the not provided isn't really an issue because all you got to do is look at the landing page.
Exactly, and you got a pretty good idea what the fucking term was,
Yeah,
Now,
even
if you're a
without
one-trick pony
the
and all you've got is one core product and that's what your whole website's built around, it could be a little more of a challenge knowing how people got there. But if you're doing e-commerce and you don't know how somebody landed on your blue widget page,
But even, I could even look at
you can
SNC,
open up
Steve. Like,
the not provided, and it shows you every one of the landing pages. All you got to do then is look at what keywords those landing pages showed for, and you're good
well,
to go.
we just had a discussion yesterday about DuckDuckGo. And people are going, hey, has anybody seen any traffic from them? It's like, well, even if you did, how would you know where it was coming from or what it was doing? Because they don't pass any information.
yeah, yeah. And for the folks
So yeah,
listening,
move all your customers over to DuckDuckGo. You're going to have even less data to work with.
what Terry is animating there is not an out of the box solution with Google Analytics, but if you set up a custom report to segment your not provided data, and then when you click on that, it'll break it down by page. It's a simple report to create. It's a custom report, but it's very easy to do. Anyway,
You're
so
going
that's
to
what
put that
Terry's
against
intimating.
$7 Warrior Forum special offer, right?
Here's something
Yeah.
else too. Open up that not provided, right, and look at the geolocations. Very important stuff.
But even Steve, you know what I mean? Not even e-commerce. Let's take Search New Central or something. Same thing. You know what I mean? I know what the post is about. I know I'm an SEO, so I know what the anchor text of the page is. I know what the fucking title of the page is. I know the important ranking factors for that page. So within reason, I can give an idea of what that page is ranking for. And it's kind of funny that people bitch about it because once upon a time, or at least for me, I've always operated that way, meaning if you want to filter, if you're trying to look at a given landing page and traffic coming to it, what would you do in analytics? You would filter it to that core term because you don't care about the modifiers of how to, where to, the long-tailed modifiers weren't important. It was more of that keyword basket. So, I don't feel that I've lost all that much. Like I always say, if anything, I've gained something because now I have an idea how many logged-in Google users are coming to that page.
Right.
Remember,
Meaning how is the authorship going to affect it? How are my
provided.
social graphs?
How much time do
When
I
they
need to spend on
announced it
Google
not
Plus?
provided, I was happy because now we knew what was coming in locally because of personalized search. We got data that I've been trying to find for
Yeah.
a
You got
long
it.
time. So I was happy. When everybody was crying the blues, I said to Dave, I don't understand it. I wanted that data. So, I'm happy. I can figure out how people got there by, using my noodle. That's part of it too. When people complain about things like that, it's what Google's made me think. Well, fuck, ain't that, excuse me.
Right.
Isn't that what you're paid to do?
Yeah, somebody tried to tell us we couldn't swear in Google Hangouts. We were like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well,
Good luck with that. Anyway, sorry, Jim, go ahead.
No doubt. Terry, you got some information that you found valuable, but it came at a cost of other information you found valuable.
not really.
Okay.
How's that?
At this point, we've adjusted away from.
But isn't that actually, Jim, isn't that more, it was data that was important to the clients? To me, I was always putting things in baskets, so I wasn't, I'm never
Around the
hung
time-
up,
I'll agree with you, David. Around the time that Google started eliminating or started providing non-referral data rather than information-laden data, keywords were becoming less important. Google was starting to act. It was starting to
Well,
act
there,
and rank sites differently.
but
Um, Traffic and where that traffic was driven from became more important than the keyword that brought a user to your site.
Like that
Where
myopathy
the
on
landing page was
that
became more
myopathy on the
important.
keyword though is what got so many people in trouble with links because they're anchor text, anchor text, anchor text. Instead of thinking in semantic baskets and concepts, they were always focused on term ranking. I want to look at my analytics and see what this term's doing. I want to look at my ranking report, see what this term's doing. When I build
And
links, I want this term in my anchor text.
and
It's that myopathy of not having semantic baskets that
well,
kind of
and
got so many people in shit.
that's the group that I think I would have referred to earlier as the lemming SEO crowd, the ones who follow the next big trick.
So you know
right
that
over the
Disney,
cliff.
the guy from Disney actually, forced those lemmings over the cliff. So he's Google, right?
Um, no, I'm not going to say he's Google. There's another company I have in mind, but I'm not going to say it. No, I'm not going to say
Here's
it.
the other thing, though, Jim. SEO should be moving away from keywords because Google is
Yes,
now an entity engine. They're doing people a favor.
agreed. I haven't cared about keywords for about 2 years, 3 years now.
Yeah,
I
well,
At least I haven't cared as deeply as I used to.
Yeah,
yeah.
again, it's almost like thinking link attraction instead of link building. Maybe there is time, sorry, Steve, I am the new SEO, but, um, I think there's a concept and a time and a place where we evolve in those ways as well, meaning you thinking in terms of semantic baskets as opposed to keywords themselves, thinking in concepts and spaces we want to be in, so.
Do they do that using LSI?
I believe so, sir. That would be latent semantic index. Oh, see what this thing. Wow, just I thought we were supposed to be picking on Terry. What is this shit, man?
No, no. Like I said, we've always considered ourselves marketers, so SEO is just one teeny tiny little piece of the whole thing. And if you want to put all your eggs in a keyword basket, good luck. Otherwise, quit thinking like an SEO and start thinking like a marketer.
To what everything Steve just said, and I'll add, and webmaster. Make a good, clean, clear, concise website. State your terms clearly. Don't be kooky about it. You should be fine.
Yeah. Then go to where your customers are and hang out. It's really not that hard.
And Google will probably reward you for doing it too.
Not that you shouldn't keep paying us to do it for you, because you should.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you don't have time to do it yourself, so you need to hire somebody like us to manage that for you.
How are you going to find time to make bacon sandwiches? You won't, unless we're working for you.
But when you tell a client that you want to keep their Google traffic or their search traffic in general under 20% of all their traffic, and they start to freak out, you need to work with them and calm them down and explain that you need all these multiple sources. And when you get to where they've got 2 million visits a year and only 20% of that's from search, they become very happy people.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, sir.
Is that link there, that one that Steve dropped in about the cards?
No, but I can go grab that.
Yeah.
What this one is, Terry, is I don't know. I thought you must be interesting.
It's the same deal, I think, though, kind of, is what Steve was showing us too.
Yeah, screen sharing.
That is friggin' cool.
Anyway, so what they've added, and I'm working on the screen sharing, folks. Sorry, Google's takes a few tries apparently because they just don't like Firefox. Anyways, so here we go. So what these are, Terry, it looks like an expansion to the display. When you hover over a user's name, now it gives you almost a bit of a little YouTube knowledge graph, dude. Have you seen this? It's kind of neat.
Yeah, I haven't. I may have seen it yesterday. I was on YouTube.
Yeah, so it looks kind of interesting. It shows you information about the channel. It shows a little header picture, another reason to dress up your account, folks. And it'll also, apparently, you can subscribe and whatever, which makes it easier, always good. But it'll also, they've tied in Google Plus again. So it'll show you how many people from your circles have subscribed to that channel and things of that nature. Kind of neat, yet another reason.
Do you know
Sorry,
how
folks.
annoying it is to go and click on somebody's what you think is their channel name, and then you end up on Google Plus instead of their channel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God! When that started happening, I wanted to start throwing stuff through my computer.
Although that's one of the things that either users will work out or Google will work out. Like it's certainly a misplaced link, but either we'll figure out how to use it or Google will figure out how to replace it.
And here, guys, just for a little bit of humor, apparently now, beside the play thing, there's a drop down that says, I'm feeling lucky. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. How to beat Google.
Not touching that. Nope. Ain't going there.
But, yeah, it's not live yet, Terry. You can only get there with a hack. The instructions are on the link in the show notes, folks. But, yeah,
Oh,
so
okay.
you can't get there by
I
default
thought I
right
saw
now.
it drop down like that.
Well, it's possible. But you can
know,
guarantee
Greg
it's probably
Jarboe
coming,
and
so. Jarobi?
Greg Jarboe in Boston is taking the Jarobi, sorry.
There we go.
Greg
No, it
Jarboe
is
in Boston
Jarbo. You're right. You're
Oh,
right.
is it? Okay. Man,
is
I'm
jumping up and
dyslexic
down
for
as if the Red Sox just did something useful.
Okay, talk over Jim one more time.
Yeah, it would have been a funny joke too, but whatever. It's okay. Yeah.
All right, so
Greg
yeah,
Jarboe is loving this. It's like a Boston win. Yeah, go again. Here we go. Well, I'm done.
well, okay.
Fuck.
And Steve, Terry was wanting to tie that into something you found from Mr. Slosky. I don't know, what was
Yes.
this?
The basically, apparently Google just discovered stickers and badges.
Okay, hold on. What year is this patent from, though? don't get it, be mean all of us, like, right out of the box. Where's the link to this fucking thing? Oh, here we go.
I don't care what year it's from.
Oh, good God, it was
Filed
only,
in
dude.
2012.
Wow, look at that. Wow, really, eh?
Only a few years behind Foursquare and a few others.
Good Lord, I remember when we put badges on forums 15
Yeah.
years ago.
Wow, that's pretty funny.
There's my guess is this is somebody fresh out of high school who's never actually been on the internet, just discovered stickers.
Just emerged from the basement, hey, Steve.
But they got the patent, so
Gotta protect it.
Doesn't that necessarily, Steve, say they'll patent almost anything from Google? Well, look, it's from Google. It must be new.
I talked with a patent attorney about a year and a half ago, and we talked about doing our due diligence and stuff like that. And his response was, don't bother. File it. If they approve it, then assume that it's all good. If there's somebody else with an existing patent that yours conflicts with, they'll let you know. And that's it. They don't even nobody does due diligence anymore. You just file.
Yeah, Jim, Steve shared with me a patent, I guess it was last week. Some guy had a patent for how to make money online, wasn't it? The name of the patent? How to make money online.
How to make money online.
I want to steal his idea.
And
But
smart.
But I was talking to an Irish friend of mine, not actually Justin. I strangely enough have a few. And your rod in the UK, Steve, is your dick, right? So
mm-hmm.
the name of the inventor on the patent was Roddy Bollocks. So I think it's someone
in Australia who patented the wheel. That was pretty entertaining. That was a while back. I think that was around 2002. He actually got a patent on a round object for use of conveyance, and basically it was a wheel. So the patent system in the United States isn't the only one that's broke.
Well, no, but I mean, in defense of the USPO, they had no idea what was coming at them. They've had 25 years to work it out, certainly.
Yeah, I was going to say
they had no idea what was coming at them.
Their mistake was they started letting people patent things that weren't physical.
Yeah,
I mean,
like patenting a method.
And they started allowing them to patent business methods, like one-click. That opened up this great big giant ball, and now it becomes patent wars of who has more patents wins.
Isn't there a movement in American law to get away with patent trolls?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, software patents in general. They're trying to, just get software
Just
patents in
end them.
general out. Done.
Yeah.
You can't do it. And because that's what really, like Steve's saying, opened up this hole. I'm a guy who reads fucking software patents all the time, and they're just hilarious.
My name's on a few patents, and we stopped filing them 15 years ago because filing a patent opened you up to somebody copying you.
Hmm.
Because when you're doing physical product, and we would patent something, and within 3 months, some company in usually China would be mass producing and selling our product for a third of what we could make it.
And even
So
if you
we
could
stopped
sue
using
them,
the patent. Yeah.
even if you could go after them legally, Steve, it costs a hell of a lot of money to be right, doesn't it?
Yeah. So we considered the patent system broke, and whenever we develop something new, we just develop it, market, and run like hell and try and stay ahead of everybody.
All right, guys, we're going out the door. So, Terry, I wanted to get a little local into the mix on our way out. And so, what, $300 a month for some reviews?
Yeah,
What's
this is
Mike
another.
Blumenthal? Oh, sorry, I'll give the guys a link here. My apologies.
Yeah, this
There we
one
go.
was kind of. The review thing is kind of broken, and more and more you can see as they kind of learn how to do sentiment. These negative reviews on Google Plus. Wow. I sometimes wonder. I have a client who's had 2 or 3 false ones and no good ones put up against them, and
But
try hard to rank in local, but
this kind of ties in.
drag.
This seems to tie in with some of the buying likes and the buying Twitter followers we talked about earlier. And interesting, but I does I'm gonna go to Steve on because you're the one who always advocates Google should have evil thinkers. It shows in IPs and stuff, doesn't it, Steve? Like I've seen some of these poorly done systems of trying to cheat local, and the guy's posting in New York, and 20 minutes later he's apparently posting something in Chicago and whatever. It's like
Right.
all right, yeah. So I don't think I use this kind of like any kind of underhanded thing. If it's not done well, then it's pretty easy to catch.
Right.
Or
Well, we've even gone further than that, where it used to be in retail, especially brick and mortar. It's like, hey, if you liked what we did, please review us here, and send them to Yelp or Foursquare or anywhere. And we've stopped doing that. And in a couple of locations, what we've done is we switched that around, and in part of the customer survey, we asked them if they are already involved on sites like that. Because if they pop on there and drop, they're a one-shot review, that's likely to start hurting more than helping. So now we're trying to filter those people ahead of time and say, hey, are you already on Yelp? Are you already on Facebook?
right? Do you have a
Foursquare?
social graph history in this
And
location?
if they are, maybe we slip them a coupon and ask them to go write a review. If they're not, we thank them and move on. But we no longer ask every single person that buys for a review.
Yeah, like you can't have a station where on your premises where someone can go and do a review because they know it. They don't
They would all
count
come from the
those.
same IP address, and that would be a bad thing.
But what I like about Yelp is you can actually see the spam submissions as well, and
Yeah, but
I think that's important that people can see what was omitted because it was people perhaps writing a negative review and it was a competitor and it was kind of obvious that they weren't a real customer.
Yelp in particular has been very proactive about deleting any review that they think might not be legitimate, and we've seen quite a few legitimate reviews taken down.
Well, that's important.
That really upsets the person who spent the time to write the review. That's why we've stopped asking everybody and only ask those people who have a history.
Which makes sense, and out the door we go. I just want to give a quick shout out to a wonderful article on Search Engine Watch this morning entitled,
Oh, indeed.
There is no new SEO, just a new fad. It was kind of funny, Terry, because I saw it in my reader, and I didn't know who had written it. So I saw this article in my reader, and I went, wow, this person's been, we've been on about this for ages. I clicked through, of course, it was Doc. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because, well, it's all we talk about. But yeah, big thanks to Doc for writing that. There is no new SEO, just fads. I think that I like it.
Well, I had, well, yeah,
What it? Come on, I am the new SEO, Steve. It's in my
you are.
tagline, so it must be true.
Well,
Yeah, you just
I'm thinking about changing my name from the SEO chef to the SEO baker, because baking's a lot harder than being a chef.
Uh-oh, don't get, oh, Terry, oh, Terry,
I
do
used to
you
be a
bake,
chef,
bake?
Steve, so
So did I.
I
Yeah.
agree, though. Baking is a
If
little
you're a
bit
chef
harder.
and you make a little mistake in the recipe, you can tweak it and you'll be fine. If you're a baker
Yeah.
and you make a little mistake in the recipe, the
For
whole
sure.
damn thing collapses.
You follow a baking recipe to the nth and
It's
try
science.
and make up for old ingredients, stuff like that, or you end up with a flat
I
product.
used to tell all my baker friends they weren't really cooks; they were just direction followers.
Yeah,
we
there you go, Jim. There's a show title, SEO 2013. Be a baker, not a chef.
we're marketers. Be an artisanal baker, an authentic artisanal baker. That's what you want to be.
God, now I have to go look the
Gluten-free.
word up.
The gluten-free SEO.
You know, you don't got to look nothing up, David. Just ask someone in Brooklyn. They'll tell you what it means. It means hip.
We'll see. I speak that language.
No, I don't. I'm old. I'm trying to be funny.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm way too out of. I don't know. I live in a cave. Steve, anything on the forums this week? Or you just been busy building houses?
Well, we're real busy building the house, but yeah, it's just more it seems like the IQ level on the forum has been plummeting in double digits for the last few weeks.
Why?
It's been really rough. A lot of people who actually know what they're talking about have left. They're done.
Is it a summertime thing? Are
No,
they away for a bit?
We go through this generational shift every so often, and each generation, the group that gets smaller and smaller, and this last shift has just wiped out any quality content at all, which is a shame.
And
Well, yeah.
newer
Forums
people
are doing
seem
okay,
to
but-
almost go through the same evolution that we did. They start off on forums, then they move up.
When you're always more
the
enthusiastic,
scale.
you know what I mean? Again,
Mhm.
I used to spend so much time on forums. Steve has managed to keep doing it, but I used to spend exorbitant amount of time on it when I was less jaded, less angry, less frustrated, less everything else.
The,
And so you do lose some quality voices,
And then you found the I help you forums and became totally jaded.
Oh, well. No, that was early on, man. So, yeah, no, I even talked to him on the phone a few times. So, he's
You know what?
he's a crazy son of a bitch, but at least he's passionate and he,
Yeah.
he stands his ground, and I could respect that at least.
Check this out, man. We got Doug Heil, Dave Naylor, Jennifer Slag, Greg Bozer, and a couple others together in Chicago at an SES conference in Chicago at a bar, and then we got them all drunk and interviewed them together. This is why I love Webmaster Radio.
Oh, that's
And you know what? Doug
wasn't it the
Hill
drunk webmaster session or drunk something
Yeah.
else? I remember
from
it.
Chicago 2007,
that.
I believe, 2008 maybe.
I
and
remember that dude.
He was a nice fella. He was a really nice guy.
He is.
I
Like I
appreciated
said,
him.
I got into it on the forums a couple times with him, and I said, "You want to talk?" And he said, "Sure," like privately. And so we got on the phone and talked, and like I said, the guy's passionate. He stands by what he's doing, and
Yeah,
I
we
tried that with somebody
he
else
got
on
lots
the
of
forums.
attention.
I tried that with somebody else on the forums at one point and wound up hating him even more. So.
Well, Terry, you were a moderator over there, weren't you?
Yeah. Like
Hey, you know what?
When I was there was Jill and Danny Thies, and most of Jill's top moderators were with.
I helped you.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks, we're reminiscing the past. I'm sure.
Well, one more thing in the reminiscence. I'd be remiss not to note this. This week is the 15th anniversary of Kim Krause-Berg's forum, Create a Site.
Wouldn't that be Jim Boykins for him?
Well, it's now Jim Boykins, it's true. The Ninjas bought it a few months ago, but for what it's worth, Kim Krause-Berg, 15 years ago, really popular forum, helpful place. So, congratulations to him.
Yeah, for sure. And Bill spent a lot of time there, so I used to hang around there. Ah, those were the days, my friend. Oh, God, it's just we're too old, guys. That's all there is to it, man. We've been doing this way too long.
I got into an argument on Google Plus in the technical community. Someone said back in '03, most SEOs were doing doorway pages.
In like 1996, maybe.
Yeah. Then I looked and realized, the guy's from South America. So that's about right. They're about 10 years behind.
But isn't every web page a doorway to the rest of your website?
Well, no, they're. Okay.
Man, you're becoming a hippie, dude. That's dude. Seriously.
All right, well, I gotta close this down,
Peace and
gentlemen.
love.
We're about 5 minutes over schedule, anyways, and Terry has a hangout on air, folks, coming up
with
in
Marshall
about...
Simmons. Don't miss it.
Marshall Simmons used to work.
Smartest guys out there.
Really?
For the
Yes.
folks listening,
Dude, nice.
Marshall Simmons used to be the guy over at the New York Times, and
About.com.
so we've had him on our podcast before. So yeah, good guy.
Yeah, he also
Anyway,
was the first moderator of iSearch. That's where I know him from.
Marshall Simmons is a legend. Amazing.
Yep, and not just in his own mind for a change.
No, this dude is a legend.
So that's coming up in 40 minutes, folks. On the Hangout on Air, you can check out SEO Pros and Google Plus, or go to SEOpros.org/live, I believe,
Yep,
sir.
that's the place.
So
Steve
that's where
will
we'll be
there.
doing that.
Dave will be there. If Jim's got an hour, he's welcome.
No, I gotta edit a press release.
There you go.
So until
Mechanical Turk, man.
Mechanical Turk. And so on behalf of all the gang, I hope you're enjoying this live session we're doing now. We've got our special guest, Jim Hedger from Digital Always Media. Thanks a bunch, Jim, for coming in, brother.
Anytime, guys. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
And on behalf of the not-so-present Justin Parks, Steve, Terry, till next week, have a good one.
Have a good week.
And go make lots of money.